Beautiful evening. I hope you're having a restful evening. Well, as usual, we'll be talking about very important issues, and today we'll be talking about the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory. Upon the inception of this administration and the appointment of the Honorable Minister Nyesom Wike, a lot of people had criticized him, saying, "Oh, this isn't Port Harcourt," as he just left the governorship seat in Rivers State. This is not Port Harcourt. This is not Rivers State. You might not be able to enact as many projects as you did, but we are seeing it different, and we'll be getting into that on today's edition of the program. We'll be talking about all the renovations we are seeing across projects. We are seeing the security situation. We'll talk about that as well. We'll also talk about something very important that a lot of Nigerians have been very worried about. That's the one chance and the resettlement of people. Is that going to affect that? What people think of the FCT? What are the changes to expect? Promises to be a bouquet of so much. So in the studio to do justice, I'm sure you're wondering who would be able to answer all these many questions I have so far raised. Well, we have a capable hand, and in the studio with me is Dr. Olumuji Peter. He's the Secretary, Command and Control Center, FCTA. He is also a Doctor of Philosophy in Security and Strategic Studies. He majors in urban security. It's wonderful to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
it's my pleasure.
It is my pleasure to have the FCT seated here. You know, the representation. It's good to hear from the horse's mouth. But it's time to go for a very short break. We'll return to discuss more. We're talking about the FCT. All we have been seeing, how what should we expect in the future. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break. Like I said earlier, we have Dr. Olumuji Peter here in the studio, the Secretary, Command and Control Center, FCTA. So let's talk about your job. It must be exciting to work with somebody so vivacious, so visionary. But let's compare notes a bit as a breakout to start the interview. How has your work been since a lot of people have called it the sheriff in town? The new sheriff in town resumed office.
That's it. Well, you know, the new sheriff in town is a workaholic man, and then there's no way you can work with him if you're a lazy person. And that is from day one. He tried to let everyone know that you have to be on your toe to make things work, and that has really giving us great inspiration. And that is why you can see that in the very few weeks that he took over the mantle of leadership in FCT, a lot of visible changes have been recorded. It's not easy. You have to work day and night. You don't have Saturday, you don't have your weekends. It's just to make sure that the FCT residents enjoy the good things of the city. And also, in these few weeks, we've been getting a lot of accolades for him, because people are really seeing positive changes in how things have been in time past.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the things that are being changed right now. In fact, when just when he was nominated, we started seeing changes. It seems like contractors now remember they had projects they had not finished. What happened there? Because we just saw several unfinished roads, some that we thought were abandoned. You know, work began on such roads. What happened? Is it body language matter?
Yes, body language matter is one key thing. And he also, like what he said during his inaugural speech, you know, he had to let the contractor know that you must come back to site. And as you are coming back to site, every fund you need to work will be made available.
Right.
And he has been doing that already.
Right.
So you don't have any cause not to deliver. Because if you not deliver, it shows you are breaking the bond of agreement that has been reached with you. You cannot complain about not having funds to execute the project. And the project that there's no fund allocated to them, he is not embarking on it. And that is why you can see a lot of developmental projects going on, especially in the road sector. You see the refacing of a lot of roads that before now people cannot traverse within the city freely. You can see the remodeling going on, the surfacing of these places going on. And you can also, just two days ago, the minister went around with the team of officials in FCT to carry out a physical inspection of what has been going on out there. It's not just allocating the fund and you collecting it, it's you doing it in the right dimension and the right quality that is supposed to be. And at the end of that inspection, he gave them a pass mark. It shows that the body language speaks one, because from where he was coming from River State, they call him Mr. Project.
Exactly.
And you know, before he can be given that special recognition as Mr. Project, it shows that he has been delivering. And the best way to deliver is for you to go on the field and see what these contractors are doing. So now the contractors know that there is no way they can cut corners. You must do it the way it ought to be and not the way you think it should be. And the funds have also been provided for them. So people are seeing the good work the Honorable Minister FCT is doing right now.
Let's talk about something a little more controversial. I mean, in the bid to keep the aesthetics of the FCT and bring us back to the original plan, a lot of toes have been stepped on, some of whom say there are indigens, and so several resettlements too are being made for people who are illegally settling in places where maybe in the original plan were designated for something completely different. How is he taking this? Because I know while he is he can be the stick the stick master, he needs the carrot approach as well.
Yes, you know, when you talk about resettlement, there are things that have been laid down. It's a policy. Resettlement is a policy in the FCT.
Right.
And the resettlement policy is only for the indigens, because you know they are the owner of the land.
Right.
You know, every one of us has to come into FCT at one time or the other. When the directive given by the then president and head of state, late General Murtala Mohammed, when he conceived the idea of having a new capital city. And why did he conceive this idea? He came because Lagos State, that served as the capital city for the FCT, I mean for Nigeria at the time, has become congested, and he was looking for a neutral ground. So FCT was identified, and since 1976 when this took place, and you remember where the former president, head of state, General Muhammad IBB Babangida, you know, when he asked all the federal government ministries, departments and agencies to move down to FCT on December 12, 1991, and that has really brought about a lot of developmental stride in the FCT. A lot of new openings have been happening, but you should also know that before we started relocating down into these parts, which is called FCT now, we have people who are indigenous, who are the landowners,
right.
And you cannot just push them away. You have to do what? Resettle them in other places. So whatever the minister is doing now, that resettlement program is being followed based on the policy of the FCT. The indigens are not shortchanged at all. Right. I can tell you that without fear of favor. They are not shortchanged, and they are being carried along. You should also know that in Gariki village, the present Gariki village, Otako village, and Jabi village, all these places, they are meant to resettle the indigens. It's because where they are resettling them to is not fully prepared already at the moment. That is why the government still leave them there. Government is not, the resettlement program is to favor the indigens. But again, the misconception non-indigen now have is that they want to now be a beneficiary of that resettlement plan, which cannot work.
So do you have a database of the indigens who really need this resettlement? Yes,
the Department of Resettlement and Compensation under the Federal Capital Development Authority, FCTA, have carried out a data, I've taken statistics of all those who are meant to benefit from this program.
Right.
And they have their database. Those that they've prepared their place and they've resettled them, they've taken them there. Those that are still pending are still there. But now the challenge is that non-indigen is now trying to want to benefit out of that. And you should know, there's a statistic that have been taken before now. There's a database, their names and everything are there. It's there already in the record book.
Right.
You know? Now, when you now come in as a non-indigen and you see an ungoverned space in FCT, and you now want to just go there and start to erect structures because you just want to be in FCT, what you are simply doing is that you are defacing the master plan of FCT. And if you allow that defacing to continue over time, you will now start experiencing what was experienced in Lagos. Because places that have been planned for industrial area, people will now go in there and build residential.
Right.
Places that have been earmarked for residential, people want to go in there and start businesses there. And that is contrary to whatever is on the master plan. And the master plan is what is guiding every developmental stride in the FCT. We have the phase 1 of the FCT, you have the phase 2, you have the phase 3, you have the phase 4 and phase 5. Presently, phase 1 have been fully developed, where you have the Wuse 2, Geriki 2, Asokoro, Maitama. You have more development there. But other phases are still coming up. So people cannot just come into the FCT and say, because I have noticed a piece of land and nobody is there.
But very often it isn't even just I've noticed a piece of land. The indigens themselves will tell you this is our land, I will sell to you, but because it's what the government has allowed us to build, people fall prey to it. Have you had instances like that?
You know, the indigens will always work on the ignorance of the non-indigens. And the Federal Capital Development Authority have tried as much as possible to educate and sensitize the non-indigens. Because there is no way you will go to a certain place and the indigen will decide to sell their farmland. You know the import of that? When you sell out your farmland for people to build houses, then there will be food insecurity in the FCT. Because those farmlands have been provided for you to farm and to also increase the food supply, the food chain in the FCT. Now, non-indigens will also think because they have money, they will also go and compromise these indigens. Those ones don't care. If you bring money, some of them will take from you. Right. And when they take from you, when it's time for that structure to be removed, nothing will happen to theirs. So who loses at the end of the day? The non-indigen. And that is why the administration has, at every point in time, always say, do not buy lands from the chiefs. The chiefs does not have right to sell land. Under the Land Act decree, Land Act of 1976 or so, yes, 76, the issuance of land within all the states resides with the state governors. Now, for FCT, it is the president, which is represented by the Honorable Minister for FCT. No chief has the right to sell land for you. If you go and they sell land for you, like one of my colleagues will always say, you go and buy land, and when it's time to write agreement, they just bring a sheet of paper, they write your name, scribble something on it, you sign, they take you to somebody that claims is the secretary of that chief, he too signs, and you are happy on the sheet of paper. There's no lawyer that knows it's onion that will support that, because it is illegality. Exactly. And you should know that in law, anything that is built on nothing will not stand. It will crumble. Exactly. So that is what has been going on. So we use this medium to also educate the non-indigens. Do not buy land from chiefs, no matter how juicy the offer is. The deal may be. And you know, the funniest thing is that most of these non-indigen, from where we have removed in time past, we always tell that yes, they know that they are not meant to have done that. But what they believe is that, okay, if I buy this land, development or removal will not come there in the next 10 years. Before that 10 years, I would have made my own money, and move on and go to another place that is maybe ungoverned and buy and do the same thing. But unfortunately, some of them, immediately they buy, then the demolition comes. Just like what happened along the N12 road at Mabuchi the other day, just last month when we went to do some removal. The indigens, the people claim that the indigens sold land for them, land that is on the road corridor. That road corridor is meant for the transit train. You understand? That is being worked on.
Right.
You understand? Now they sold land to people, and they went to buy land on the road corridor. Now, when we came to remove, there was even a lady that was telling us it was on air. Even ASO TV, and the rest carried it. Even
right.
Kaftan TV too aired it then. Now, she said she got the land in October. She started building and packed in, and before you know, the team came to remove because it is not an authorized place. She was not blaming the government, but she blamed those that deceived her in doing that. And that is what so many people are also going through. Now, when you even claim somebody deceived you in buying it, did you not do your due diligence in confirming the status of that land? Because in law, there's no ignorance. There's no ignorance in law.
Where, for our viewers right now, where should one do this confirmation and research? Because there's also been cases where staff of the FCTA in the, I think it's lands and I'm not sure the department, have also been culpable when it comes to offering certification or C of O's. You know, we have offices that you can go and make your verification. Number one, you can go to AGIS, the Abuja Geographical Information System, which is in charge of all lands. There's also the Department of Land that you can make inquiry about the land use of that particular location. Right. Aside that, there is no building in the FCT that will commence without the approval of the Development Control Department. Ideally. And most time, any building you see that starts without the approval are illegal buildings. They call it illegal structures. Now, when you get a place and you have gone to AGIS or Lands Department and have told you about the land use for that particular location, you can also go a further step to Development Control Department and also make further inquiries. There is no way you go to these three departments that you will not get the true picture of that particular land. But unfortunately, most of us are not ready to do that. We just want to build something, and tomorrow when government comes to do the needful, we want to blame the government. Right. We always say, oh, the government does not want the poor to breathe. Whereas government did not give you that land. You just chose to go there. So government, in as much as possible, have departments that you can make every necessary inquiry. And if you know you can't even do it, you can also get a service of a legal person, just your lawyer, and let him help you do it. So if anything goes wrong tomorrow, you know that, oh, but this man did the search for me. Right. So why are we having this issue, this discrepancy? Okay, so before we leave this issue of resettlement, there's this deafening anxiety. Who is going to be resettled at the moment? I mean, I know they are in phases. Yes. So what is to be expected? No, those that will be resettled, they know themselves already. Okay. Resettlement policy is basically for indigens. Right. Because you cannot come to a man's house and ask him to vacate his sitting room without and ask him to go into his bedroom without you providing succor for him inside the bedroom. What does the succor entail? Yes. Do you have structures there? What it means is that in the resettlement scheme, now if Mr. A is meant to be resettled to another location, government will always build a structure for them. Government will provide the necessary infrastructure, the good road, water, power, everything. Right. That is what they mean by resettlement policy. It's not that government will just allow you to go and build. Your government takes care of it. There's one that is going on at Shere Galui after Mpape. If you go there, very large resettlement area that government is developed and is still working on the infrastructures. Because these are places that the Garki village, Utako village, Jabi village, Mabuchi village will move to at the end of the day once government is done with it. So those that are meant to benefit from the resettlement scheme are
the indigens.
So let's also talk about recently you were all over the TV sets and the newspapers talking about demolition of shanties and illegal structures and all of that. What was going on at that point?
Yes, you know, when you look at the present removal that we are carrying out, you have, number one, you have what you call illegal structures. Illegal structures are structures from development control angle, are structures that do not have approval. And the development control will always give you room to come and ensure that you get the necessary approval if that land is officially allocated to you. Now you now have places that bachas and slums are developing. Now these shanties, these bachas and slums harbors more of criminal elements. There's no way you will have a place that is not planned and the environment is so hazardous to even those living there.
Exactly.
But they decide to live there. Number one, it has an health implication on them. Secondly, you now also have those that now use those places as hibernating points for criminal elements. Now somebody that is staying in a bacha, in a shanty, does not have a regular and confirmed address. You cannot trace the person to anywhere. The person goes out there, commits crime, and come into that place to hibernate. And again, one worrisome aspect of this is that we now see a high rate of the abuse and the abuse and the assault on the girl child and the boy child. You see the girl child being raped because they are staying in an unplanned environment where anything goes, a free world. You see the boy child being molested, being sodomized. The government will not open their eyes and allow such to persist. And at the end of the day, when these things happen, government needs to remove them. Exactly. Remember, government did not allocate those places for these people in the first place. They just took advantage to start maybe from one structure to the other and the rest. Now, the general question that people always ask is that, okay, why did we allow it to grow to that extent? Very good question. Now, did government allocate that place to you? No. If you have started illegality and government has decided to come and remove at that material point in time, government have not done anything wrong.
Exactly.
That is the simple answer I give to them. Because in developing a city like FCT, there's a lot of aspects to it. You should know that FCT consists of 6 area councils. Amak, you have the Abaji, you have Kuje, you have Gwagwalada, you have Buhari, and you have Kwali. These are all under the FCT and it's meant to be developed. Because development is more in Amak does not mean other area council will be left undeveloped. And this, when these places are open, people will have more places to reside freely. And that is why the government of the day is talking about the mass rail transit that connects from every angle, every area council to the city center. So the pressure in the city center will reduce. And you should know that naturally, whenever you have a new city, which is an urban city, migration is something that you cannot stop.
Exactly.
People will always migrate on a daily basis.
And FCT looks like there's so much influx of people.
Yes, the reason why you have so much influx of people is that people come in there and they can earn a daily bread, their daily bread. There's constructions going on and people are coming in as construction workers to come and work. And that is, this development is what we call the pull factor. Exactly. Now you have the big men coming in here. We also have the masses like us coming in to look for our daily bread. And the development going on in FCT creates more avenue for people to earn their daily living. In fact, if you look at this road construction that is ongoing, more people are being engaged, are gainfully employed into it. So it's bringing employment into the system. People cannot complain, oh, there's no job, there's no. If there's no job, there's something going on somewhere.
There's always something.
There's always something in FCT because an FCT is still a work in progress.
Right.
And as you develop all this, these places create employment. So now when you talk about all this removal of shanties and the rest, there is a lot of different factors to it. You cannot, every land has a land use for that particular location. You cannot say because you've seen a free land, you just come and do whatever you want to do there.
It's a good time to go for a short break. In spite of all that's going on in the FCT, there's this unfortunate phenomenon, they call it the one chance, and it's becoming concerning for FCT residents. That's the conversation we'll go into after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the studio, we still have Dr. Olumuji Peter, who will be telling us all about the FCT. We've taken the conversation now to the one chance trend. For some who have been following that on social media, we've seen several videos and complaints. Recently, a young lady was even killed in that situation. And then we'll be talking about what the government, the Federal Capital Territory administration is doing to curb these very unfortunate unfortunate activities going on as people pose to be passengers or motorists, commercial motorists, and lure passengers in, and then they attack them or harass them, robbing them of their properties. Thank you again for staying with us, but I'm sure you too must have heard several complaints about this one chance. So what would you say is going on? It seems like there's prevalence, or has it always been like this?
Well, when you talk about the one chance syndrome that is going on right now in FCT, it's not that pronounced the way the social media makes people to believe. Even though whenever I say this, some people try to dispute that with me, and I always tell them that I speak from the basis of facts, and not just what is being shared to smear the government or to portray the government as if nothing is being done. Yes, we have incidences of one chance, that is going on, and this can be associated to the lack of effective transportation system in the Federal Capital Territory. And because the Minister of FCT, Asonye, is particular about ensuring that this one chance syndrome is curbed. And that is why you can see from the first day he took office, he emphasized more on mass transit system in the city. And not just emphasizing on the one chance system, he also talked about the rail system. And like I said earlier on, the rail system will now be able to connect the city center from Kuje, from Abaji, from Buhari, from Kubwa, from Nyanya, and from Karu. And when you have this, you realize that more people will go for the mass transit system than boarding individual vehicles. They falling victim of falling prey of one chance syndicate. Now, that is one aspect of it. The second aspect is that because this is a cause for concern to the minister, he has also inaugurated a special tax team, security tax team, called Operation Save FCT, which is headed by the FCT Commissioner of Police, and it has the Gas Brigade commander in that committee and his team. It has the Army Headquarters Garrison, has the Defense Headquarters Garrison. You also have the Department of State Service in it. You have the Civil Defense in it. It's an holistic security body. What is their role? Aside tackling the issue of kidnapping, they are also saddled with ensuring that they bust this one chance syndicates. And how can you bust this? By carrying out a clandestine operation. Because there's no way you will see a man and this vehicle belongs to one chance.
Exactly.
And we've gotten reported cases from victims, and we all know that the way these people operate is just the same way anytime, any day. Now, as at last week or 2 weeks ago, the FCT Commissioner of Police, Garba Haruna, gave an update of the achievements so far of the Operation Safe FCT team, what they've been able to achieve. And he was able to let the journalists know. I even saw one of your reporters during that press briefing. He made them to understand that a lot of arrests have been made and a lot of vehicles being used, suspected to be used for one chance activity, have been impounded. Now, let me now take it deeper.
Right.
You realize that most of these vehicles used for one chance operation is basically all these golf vehicles and the rest. You can't see somebody using flashy cars for it. People are ready to board any vehicle to get to their destination. It's not their fault. You can't blame them.
Exactly.
Now, some people have decided that they want to make others to cry. And that is why they've decided to go into this one chance activity. During the arrests, some of the vehicles that have been impounded so far, do you know that you see some of these vehicles with a plate number in front, another plate number behind? What is even shocking is that some of this plate number does not even tally with that vehicle. You will see a vehicle that has, for example, ABC 2211JJ.
In front.
Now, during the impoundments of that particular vehicle in this operation, they had to take the team had to take that plate number to go and check who is the rightful owner.
Right.
We realized that that plate number does not even belong to that vehicle, not the owner. And what the team have also come to realize, that some people go get other people's plate number. Maybe when there's an accident somewhere,
right,
they will take it, go to all this Panteka, and that's why there's clamp down on Panteka also.
As well.
They take it and use those plate number to disguise. Now, getting that, you want to, when you interrogate properly and investigate, you also want to know, okay, the rightful owner, this vehicle plate number belongs to Mr. YYY. And you actually call Mr. YYY. Why is your plate number on this vehicle? And you realize that
he has no idea.
No idea. Because somebody somewhere must have hijacked that plate number. And that's why we discourage people, all these AMAC people, from removing people's plate number. It's an offense for anybody to remove your plate number from your vehicle.
But that's still going on.
It's still going on, but nobody is ready to make an official report. Do you understand? Now, these one chance people, that is just one, by the way. Also, you will see them with daggers, with POS machine, and the rest inside their vehicle. I remember during the press briefing, the CP also let the journalists know that aspect of the POS issue will be investigated and get in touch with the necessary banking, financial institutions that
because I cannot that. I've had this conversation severally. I cannot for the life of me understand why you would get my card, insert it in a POS, and the banks cannot trace it.
In fact, that has been a cause of concern and worry. And again, it's not only that. When someone falls victim of this one chance, the way what they do to their victim, they use dagger, they use hammer, they use anything to inflict injury on that person. At times, some of these victims are meant for life. Yes. At times, some people lose their life.
Yes.
And that is why, during that press briefing, over 20-something suspects were paraded, and over 50-something vehicles were also impounded, and the operation is still on. So now, when you talk about one chance issue in FCT, there is a major clampdown on the activity. And that is why you see the reported cases of one chance issues, incidences, have reduced in the FCT.
Whatever happened to that clampdown on vehicles that were operating as commercial but not painted? That used to be one method to curb this one chance incidences. Yes.
You know one basic thing that we also have to tell ourselves. We have to tell ourselves the truth. The general public too needs to do the needful. At times, people want to transverse from one place to the other, and you see individuals using their vehicle as kabu-kabu. You understand? In the guise of using it as kabu-kabu, some innocent commuters also, any vehicle they see, they want to believe is the same thing. And that is why we always encourage that if you want to board the vehicle, go to the approved taxi rank or park and board. Yes, some of them will always say, oh, but in the night time, all this taxi rank and the rest is not working, is not well lit, and that is why the transportation secretary, the mandate secretary for transportation, is working on that. All those taxi rank and bus stops are going to be well lit. Something that will be created there to make it comfortable even for commuters in the night time. And increasing also the taxi ranks, and not just increasing it, ensuring that adequate security is provided around them. So those are the plans that is there, and they are working day and night. One chance incidences will be a thing of the past very soon.
So now that I have you here, I would also ask, still talking about the one chance incidences, the reason some people have to rely on painted vehicles is sometimes because you all allow organizations to say you can't come in if you're a painted vehicle. I'm sure you too have seen that. Is that something you should also address? Because if I'm comfortable entering a painted vehicle, they don't have, apart from the plate numbers they have vehicle numbers that's engraved. It's simple to remember that, oh, I'm in 251. You know, and so, but yeah, there are organizations that will say, oh no, you can't come in if it's a painted vehicle. Why that discrimination? Well,
that's true. I've boarded a painted taxi to a certain institution. We did the FCTA, and when we got to the gate, they say, oh God, the vehicle cannot go in. It's a taxi, it's a cab. And I say, why? In fact, it should even be able to go in.
Because
in other countries,
because it's registered.
It's registered. You can even trace it better and faster than any other type of vehicle, you know. And the transportation operators within the FCTA have also raised this with the current mandate secretary for transportation. Right. And that is being looked into. In fact, there's some estates they will not allow painted taxi to go in, but they will allow unpainted to go in. I've experienced it several times. You understand?
In some schools as well, and I don't understand it.
No, but that is being handled by the mandate secretary for FCT presently.
Well, let's talk about the other clampdown on what they call babambola. These are these gentlemen that carry refuge, or is it refuse, they carry refuse and waste and all that. Well, there's been an argument. The government does not have a proper recycle plan or project or initiative rather, and yet these are the people we can depend on to say would take your plastics and all that, yet the government is clamping down on them. Should that sector be regulated as well? Yeah,
like just this Monday and Tuesday we had the popular Apojuse Panteka markets, which we went to remove. And why did you go there? We went there because there has been a lot of reported cases of acts of criminalities from the estates within that environment. And all these acts of criminalities are traceable to that Panteka. Yes, the Panteka market, which is the scrap market, is a wonderful business. It is something that can generate income, revenue for the government if it is well annexed. And I remember the Director of Development Control who led that team, you know, emphasized that integration of these people is sacrosanct, and recommendations will be forwarded to the Honorable Minister of FCT for his approval. And the operators, the genuine operators, were happy hearing that. But the unfortunate thing is that aside having the genuine operators, you also have the criminal elements that have mixed up with them. So you cannot distinguish between the genuine operators and the criminals.
I agree with you. Some of us have seen several videos of these scavengers, babambola. This would be relatable to everybody watching. We've seen videos where they try to bring out street lights, and manhole covers.
If you go to Grand Abuja, you know, most of our manhole covers
those are completely gone
by this same set of people. If you go towards Kado roundabout, you know, they have the solar panel light there.
Yes, they've been able
to cut them.
There was a CCTV camera that kept showing what the activities of the scavengers, and it's really concerning as well.
And that is why this removals is being done. The government has a place for them at Goza dump sites along the airport road. But some of these boys don't want to go to that approved place because they don't want to be under any structured leadership. You know, they have their leadership.
When you say there's a place set aside for
yes.
them, how would they get these scraps? Good.
If you look at them, when they have is a, what do I call it now? The market is a chain.
Okay.
From Mr. A going to pick this scrap, they have a point in which they go there and drop and weigh. Those one take seats to where it ought to be at this Goza market. Yes, they are organized for the genuine ones,
part, right.
for the genuine ones among them. But unfortunately, like I said, the criminal ones are overshadowed the genuine ones. And the criminal ones are the ones you see in the night time going to remove street lights, going to remove manhole cover, going to remove your car side mirrors and the rest. And because this is happening, the government of the day will not close her eyes to see that goes on. Because somehow you also realize that there have been attack on members of the public.
Exactly.
Any little argument with them, boom, they remove dagger and they stab the person. If the person did not even die, they will injure the person. And government say, no, we can't allow this lawlessness to continue. And that is why there's a clampdown on a daily basis. The FCT police authorities clamp down on them. There's a constant raid arresting them. They know where they ought to be. The criminal ones that are perpetrating all these things are being arrested on a daily basis and also being prosecuted and sent to jail. And that is why, even as part of the mandate of Operation Safe Abuja, arrest of this Babambola loitering around. People will tell you, oh, if you go to Maitama, you see them there. Go in the afternoon, go in the day, in the morning, go anytime, you will see them loitering. Yes, they are there. But as much as possible, the law enforcement are also ensuring that they apprehend as many as they can.
But again, do they have this information? Because sometimes they are just, you might meet a lot who say, I'm just innocently doing my scavenging work.
There's nobody, you cannot be innocent just doing your scavenging work. Okay, for example, if he claims he's innocent and he has those waste he has been able to gather, where is he going to dispose of them? He knows he has to dispose of them in an organized place. And for you to know that, you know how you ought to operate.
Right. So the organized place has also told them.
Yes, they have leadership.
Right.
They have leadership. But you know, anywhere you have organized setting, you also have deviants.
Of course.
You know, if you go to Mabuchi, the other day we cleared the Babambola, very large Babambola colony. In fact, the Honorable Minister FCT went there and saw. When he got there, the first thing that came out of his mouth was, wow! He was surprised. And there, if anything goes wrong to anybody, nobody will know. We spent over 3 weeks clearing that place. When I mean 3 weeks, I mean day out.
Wow.
Ensuring that place is clear. Today, the residents of Mabuchi, Gwarimpa, Jai, they are now happy for it. The crime rate has reduced to the barest minimum because we also go out to get feedbacks. And we also charge you Kaftan TV to also go out there to get feedbacks. This work is not easy doing it.
I can imagine.
But you just have to do it. And most of the time, they always claim, you don't want the poor to breathe. Let me tell you something. The present administration in FCT considers everybody. The other day, we went to Area 1 shopping center to clear the kilishi sellers and the rest because of the nuisance and various criminal activities that have started growing there.
However, that won't touch me.
I'm a lover of kilishi. I'm a lover of kilishi. When we were there, I knew I'm not going to get kilishi for a while. But again, the government of the day was not disposing them. What the government of the day did now, which very soon I believe the Honorable Minister FCT is going to commission, is to now arrange them properly as a form of informal sector.
Okay.
So if you need your kilishi, very soon you go to Area 1 and park your vehicle in a very good, conducive environment and buy your kilishi and go home happily.
I cannot wait for that.
And do you know the funniest thing? Let me surprise you today. This kilishi that being sold in Area 1, people come from abroad and order for it and take it overseas.
Exactly.
And that will be a form of revenue to the government, no matter how small it is. On a daily basis, revenue is coming in, and these people will now understand that the government is not just pursuing them. Like, people make them to realize they are happy now. Yes, they are, because they know what government has done for them, and they've seen it. It's not just doing. Okay. They've seen. If you go to Area 1, you will understand what I'm saying. That's the same thing. We have cleared Galadima roundabout. We have cleared Kabusa Junction. Government have planned to ensure that the informal sector is integrated into the system. The informal sector is another form of employment to those who people think are nobody in the society. And when you organize them very well and integrate them very well, then you understand that the crime rate you have been talking about in the entire city will reduce. Because people will now have something to feed their family. I'm
just happy that these reforms that are happening are not stifling small businesses, because that has been one of one of the concerns of residents to say, I mean, you are talking about corn sellers, you're talking about kilishi. These are people who are trying to make a living out of it. But let's go to something else. Okay,
yes, even the corn seller, because there's a season for the mouth organ. We call it mouth organ. Yes, those ones too, they will fall into this informal sector and have a place that if you want to buy your mouth organ during the season, you just go to the spot and you buy, and nobody is pursuing anybody. Right. And like I said, in under when you look at the ecological crime theory, it talks about social disorganization. Social disorganization come more under where you have lawlessness, where you have poor people, where you have people that don't have anything doing. And before you know, there's this environmental factor that naturally makes them to go into crime. But when you have integrated them into the system, you understand, you will see that they are not even thinking of crime, because they have a source of livelihood they are looking up to. When they wake up in the morning, their family know that, oh, I'm going to so and so place, and I know before the end of the day, customers will come and buy mouth organ from me. Exactly. Customers will come and buy kilishi. Some even take it abroad and even have your name and the rest, and it become international business. Exactly. So the present government minister of FCT is really doing a wonderful job. When we started the removal when he came and said we have to do this, people were afraid. They thought the poor will not breathe. We thought so. But like the president said, let the poor breathe. And they are breathing right now.
Before I let you go, as we're really running out of time, I would like you to address this controversy around these logistics bikes. Okay. Where are they? What's the plan for them by the FCT? I had conversation some time ago talking about the complete ban for security concerns. So where are we?
Yes, there's a plan to ban them for security concern. Some of them have been courier for hard drugs, cocaine and the rest, which the NDLEA have been able to apprehend some of them. But again,
really?
Yes, we have fact. If you go to NDLEA
this
office,
logistics
bikes, yes. If you go to the NDLEA office at the FCT command, they will give you proof and give you records that they have. But again, the FCT administration under the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, which is popularly called the VIO, right, also have come out and tell them what they ought to do. Number one, you cannot operate this courier bike service with just any type of bike. There is a capacity, is it a 200cc or so, that is approved for you to use. And why are they using that? Because of the balance and everything. Right. Secondly, you must have your helmet, you must have your reflective, you must have kitted. You must also have the name of your logistics company written boldly on it. Now, if you have fun, and you must obey the law, because one thing we realize, when you get to traffic light, why the traffic light, every vehicle are waiting, you just see them come and
it applies to them. It never applies to them.
No. Some of them believe they have double life. That nothing will happen. And you will see them just cross. And we've seen them involved in fatal accidents. You see them cause accident, road crashes of innocent road users. So the government have told them, has had meeting with their owners and warned them, and that is why those that fall foul of the law are being apprehended and arrested also and prosecuted, because nobody is stopping them from operating, but you must do it under the ambit of the law.
I must thank you for giving us all this enlightenment about what's going on in the FCT and the many plans that's ongoing. Thank you so much for being part of the program. Before I let you go, for people listening to us right now and watching us right now, what would be your last thoughts before you leave?
Yes, my last thought will be I'll just take like 1 or 2 minutes if you permit.
You are permitted.
Number one, I want to encourage every resident of the FCT and anywhere you also find yourself in Nigeria or in the world, that you must ensure you have the phone number, the control room number of the police command of where you are residing. Is very important. In case if you see anything, you can always call the control room and they will respond to it. Number two, wherever you reside, there's a divisional police station there. Also try and get the DPO's number. Also make sure that you have the fire service number and also the road safety number, and have a medical doctor number in case of emergency. And you should also know that whenever you see something, you must say something. Situational awareness is very important. Most of us in this part of the world don't take personal security as important. And that is why we fall prey to so many things. But whenever you take personal security important, you will be aware of your environment at every point in time. Don't be in a commercial vehicle and you are just doing that you're on your phone, pinging, chatting, and you are not looking at your environment. And remember, when you want to board any vehicle, open your eyes very well. Open your eyes very well, because very soon there will be mass transit to take you to wherever you want to go, and the incidences of one chance in FCT will be a thing of the past. And remember, the Minister of FCT have given a direct order to the security agencies in the FCT that they must ensure that the security and safety of everybody residing in the FCT is paramount, so that every resident can sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Thank you have taken much.
Just the 2 minutes I gave. Thank you so much for being on time.
Thank you so much.
We've been discussing with Dr. Olumuji Peter. He is the Secretary Command and Control Center, FCTA. Again, I thank you for giving us all this enlightenment. Unfortunately, this is where we draw the curtains on Joy Asonye Live. Be rest assured, we'll be back tomorrow with so much more. So do have a wonderful evening.